Where were you born?
Provo.
Really?
Provo, Utah.
And
I don't know that address.
What?
Near the railroad tracks.
Oh yeah. Were you on the right side or the wrong side?
I don't know, but we were warned to stay away because those trains go fast. This was like freight train stuff, I think.
Oh yeah. And that was in Provo or Pleasant Grove?
That was in Provo when I was real
okay.
little.
And where did you live after Pleasant Grove?
Salt Lake, probably South Salt Lake.
Like the suburbs, or was there suburbs? Or it was in Salt Lake?
It was the southern end of Salt Lake City.
And where?
Before you get like to Murray and those other communities.
And where did you live when you met Dad?
Olympia, Washington.
Let's see if we can find that. Is that where I remember Grandma and Grandpa living, do you think?
Yeah. Probably.
It was sort of a old house.
Old house, kind of woodsy area.
Blackberry bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you
Oh,
went to high
wait a
school?
minute. No, that's not. You weren't born when I lived there.
Yes, but she went
But
back.
she went back, I know.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
went back.
with her on the
Yeah.
train when I was in Provo one summer.
That's right.
You went back and on the train. Wanda was about a little past 1 or somewhere and talked up a storm and
Everybody was so surprised. Ooh.
and I'll bet you can remember a little bit about that one.
I remember Doug eating some strawberries or picking strawberries or something.
And we also went back there on a trip from
California.
California.
That's when Darlin was so surprised.
That's when Darla was so surprised when she came home. So you probably remember that trip.
Yeah, that one you would remember. Yeah. That other one, it was probably summertime. You were probably less than 2. 1.5.
And we
Around there.
also went back there after we were in Urbana. We went back there, is what I remember, is that I ended up going out to the golf course and didn't know it was a country club, and they let me play anyway, just because
Yeah.
I was so ignorant.
That was the place where we went to someone's house and they gave you some raw milk.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that. I know you would remember that one. And you finally got it down. So they gave you
They
some
gave
more.
me more, yeah.
Yeah.
That was someplace where we were doing something with clams.
Yeah. There was a place out near the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
And they were digging, they could get fresh clams there. You probably wouldn't like them either, but they were doing something with that when we were
digging
out
up
there that time.
clams.
Those were friends of my Aunt Irma, I believe, or something, and she lived up there before my folks came, and I think those were some friends of hers. They could have even been people from the church, I don't know.
They were from the church.
From the church, yeah. I can't think of their name, but yeah, that was...
So you lived in Olympia and then, or Grandma and Grandpa lived there and then moved back there?
No. They lived there.
They lived there and
They lived
you
there
went there to
and then-
visit?
Yeah,
Okay. And that is where you were living when you and Dad met?
right.
Oh,
I
okay.
was living there with them then, and we'd only been there a few months. I didn't live there a real long time.
Oh, okay. So where did you go to high school?
In Murray, Utah,
Oh, okay.
out of Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
And then after high school, a couple of years after that's when we moved to Olympia.
Did you go to the same high school all 4 years?
No,
That's what I thought.
I went to Granite, I think the first year. Went to Granite Junior High School, and then I think I went to Granite High School maybe 1 year, and then finished out at Murray High School.
Because you moved or?
We moved,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
My folks moved, and Dad bought a grocery store in
Oh,
Murray,
okay.
and we lived there across from the park. And
Did you work at the grocery store or help out there at all, or no?
no, I was old enough I could have. It was a one-man job and
Mm-hmm.
the folks just did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had anything to do with anything like selling or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe empty the garbage or something, I don't know.
So I remember making pies all the time, and I thought she was a baker.
She worked at a bakery.
Oh, okay.
That was in St. George.
Oh, okay.
She worked
That was
there
later
for,
then.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was thinking that was while you were growing up.
Well, she always was a pie maker, always. And you probably remember her making pies no matter where she was.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But she worked at a bakery for pay.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think your dad worked with her that.
he did
that
work,
year.
yeah, well, at one time, at the end of where they stopped working altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And she learned how to make cobblers and good stuff, and not exactly the cobbler that I make, but what other people call cobbler. But she loved it. That was her thing.
Oh, yeah. So you go to visit Grandma, and it's what kind of pie do you want?
Yeah.
Which 2 kinds of pie do you want?
Well, she loved that job because that was her element. And when I was young, like in maybe young high school, she worked as a motel maid,
Mm-hmm.
and that was okay. But
Not
she
as
didn't.
much fun for her as being
No.
a baker, huh?
No. She didn't work too many different jobs outside of the home. But she always made that good bread for Dad.
Oh, yeah?
When she was gone, he had a hard time finding that bread at the store.
Yeah, you
They
can't
don't-
get that bread at the store, can you?
They don't have Mom's bread at the store. He found something close, but yeah, he missed her a lot, but he missed her bread too. He did love her a lot.
Yeah. Yep, I remember him talking about the first time he met her, and
I don't remember when he first met her, actually. Well, I don't.
was at a swimming pool, at a hot spring,
Okay.
and she was beautiful.
Well, she was. I saw her picture. Yeah, I remember when she was old and didn't know much anymore. And we were sitting there in his living room one time when we went to visit, and she was there on the couch and didn't know what's going on. And he said, "Love the socks off of her." Still love her. When I was a kid,
Did he work at Geneva Steel at all?
he might have. He worked for WPA for one time. That was
Yeah, that.
the post-World War stuff. When I was growing up, like in Pleasant Grove, he tested wells for pressure, water wells.
Mm.
And I don't know who he worked for
Mm-hmm.
or why they were tested, but it was, and I used to say he tests wells, and people look at me like, what does that
What
mean?
does that mean?
Yeah. And when I was born, my birth certificate says he was a milk carrier.
I remember him talking about that a
That's
little
right.
bit.
He was
A milk carrier. I remember
milk carrier.
stories about him delivering milk.
Yeah, he did.
No milk delivery kind of stuff.
He also, at one time, had a laundry route. And he also did bookkeeping for a plumbing company. That was, I think, before he got the store.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was when we lived over on 7th East, and then he got the store. Then we moved, he built a house behind the one we used to live there, where we moved after he sold the store. He built a house, cinder
Oh,
block
okay.
house himself,
Mm. Wow.
almost all of it.
Mhm.
He hired some stuff done.
Mhm.
And then we lived there until we went to Olympia.
And then from Olympia, that's when they moved to St. George.
They moved, didn't they went to Vegas first, didn't they, for a little bit before they went to St. George?
I think they just temporarily stayed in Vegas for a while with
Just-
Leon, because Leon had moved there and gone to work before.
Well, that's
they-
when Aunt Darlene was there.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, I think they did
I
stay
think,
in Vegas. Yeah.
Leon wasn't in Vegas at that time, but they were there a little bit, and then they went to St. George, and they were there the rest of the time. That they
So did Leon and Dorothy move to St. George after Grandma and Grandpa
Yeah.
were there? Oh.
They lived in Vegas before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Leon had a good concrete working hard job, in Vegas sometime, temporary, the short time before they went up to St. George. Went up to St. George because it was cooler.
Really? That's hard to believe.
It's not that much cooler.
Yeah.
I
How
just-
about Lewis?
Well, what do you want to know about him? He's my brother.
He's your brother.
3 years older.
Did he pick on you?
Sometimes.
That's what brothers do. Sometimes.
Yeah, actually he wasn't bad. He used to tease me. It was
Ah.
more like a tease thing. And there were things where he could push my buttons.
Ah.
I remember one time kicking him in the shins. How dare I do? He was the one who was always the in control, the master, knew everything. Wherever he went, he was conceited.
Confident?
Confident, that's a better word. But he was always the one that knew what to do, and during when we were semi-grown up, we were good friends, like high school, my early high school time, and junior high. When I became sort of grown up, and yeah, he even took me out with friends and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In
He
like
wasn't
church.
embarrassed by you. You didn't have to.
I didn't have to hide or anything. Sometimes, like some of the church people, or we went out to movies or something. But I was out socially with him a little bit, and just then later when we moved out from Granger back into the city area, and we were good friends. We talked, and if I would comb his hair, he would tell me anything. He loved having his hair combed. When I get him a half a pint of ice cream and a hair comb, he was good for anything.
That's
And
very
one
cute.
time when I took his car and drove it, just backed it up and backed it over the bridge and got in the wheel off of the bridge into the gutter, into the ditch. Can't remember how I got out of that one, but
You think you owed him a few ice creams then?
probably did. It's a wonder he didn't kill me.
Yeah, a man in his car, you don't want to
What?
mess with that.
And what possessed me to do that, I'll never know.
How about your sister Dorothy?
Oh, she was always my prize.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the little baby that came along later, and she was just the sweetest, most precious little thing that ever was. Yeah, I just doted on her.
Probably, your
Still
mom
do.
appreciated having you around to help out too.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like I was put upon or anything. I didn't have to do anything, I don't think. Just she was always fun, and she was cute, and she was smart, and she was like kind of grew up young. She just knew what was going on, and I felt like I was the little sister. She was leading me. But,
A mature little girl.
She was more outgoing than I was. I remember one summer she was out selling worms or fish bait or something to earn money, and going door to door, stuff like that. I would never have done that.
Little entrepreneur, huh?
For one thing, I couldn't have stood the worms. Wouldn't have thought of it. But she learned to swim. She went to the high school or the Y or somewhere and learned to swim, and then she was kind of grown up when I met Dad. She was maybe 13 or something like that. When he thought she was a good playmate, they went out and did firecrackers and all good stuff. But and she's always just been kind of my idol, I guess. Or how would you say something
Yeah,
like that?
That's nice.
Yeah. And still is. Yeah. Still feel like she's the big sister instead of the little sister.